Thank you, Acting President. Well, I'm going to speak to point C in particular, and this is notes the government using these massive revenues for its own political gain. Well, I could say that the geniuses in the Labor Party are going to be up for a very big shock when it comes to regional Western Australia, because I can assure you, the political gain that's currently going on and the neglect in the regions is going to be only one way, and that's one way south. And we see that happening, with already in the latest poll. We're seeing a massive swing towards the Liberals in the bush, because I can tell you those members, Ali Kent and others, Ali Kent, Kevin Michelle, will be going through those data, looking at what happened since the last state election.
Member, if you just resume your seat, I have the Honourable Martin Pritchard on a point of order.
Could you please remind the member to refer to members in the other chamber by their correct title, please?
Members, I don't think you need me to remind you of that rule, which applies to everybody in here. Member, would you take note of the point that your colleague...
The members of those seat of Kalgoorlie and the seat of the Pilbara, if they will look at the results of the last federal election and translate those into the state, well, they'll be very worried, because a lot of confidence in the Labor Party after 2020-21. A lot of confidence, political gain. But we're seeing the reason why people are coming back to the Liberal Party in the regions, because we saw the complete abrogation of any sense of honesty or integrity in relation to the matter around the upper house reforms, the electoral reforms. We're even seeing the Labor Party thinking and toying about the idea of not even running in the next by-election. Well, you know, I know why, because they don't want to be embarrassed by the terrible abrogation of anything that happens in the bush. They don't want to see those results creeping back. But we see that this government has completely ignored the bush. Despite these record surpluses, despite all this money in the money bin, they have completely ignored the bush. We see them lurching from crisis to crisis. Let's start with the basic need of electricity in the city of Kalgoorlie. What a joke. Here we have the power going off and on, just like we're in some developing nation, people losing tens of thousands of dollars of goods, of opportunity, because they can't even keep the power on. How embarrassing. I can see that as just a terrible disgrace, and I feel for those small businesses that lost tens of thousands of dollars in goods and services because the Labor Party is ignoring the bush. We see the Labor Party not taking responsibility of the most basic issues of safety. We see record crime rates across our regional Western Australia. We see that even to the point in the Kimberley where they delayed the operational regional shield, to the point that things got so far out of control. Finally, the Minister for Police woke up and thought, I better do something about that, and they actually put a few more officers up there. But the ongoing crime in the bush is just the reason why I speak to people on a daily basis when I'm out in the regions, and I tell you, they've had enough. And so I would say to all those geniuses in there that are thinking this is a good thing to focus on metropolitan Perth and shut down the Armidale train line for 18 months, think that's a genius idea for political gain, I would say to them, they may be, if they want to get political gain, they maybe turn their eyes and look to the bush and actually start servicing the bush with safety, the basic number one issue. For example, let's look at the town of Carnarvon. What a disgrace. In 2018-19, the Carnarvon, there were crimes against persons. There were about 60 crimes against persons. In 2020, 2021, that's 120. Each suburb in Carnarvon, that rate is going up. We're seeing the outgoing. You look at it, member, the minister, and I say to the president, acting president, that people opposite should get and look at their own data, because this data is available. They can sort it out, but the problem is they're not even looking. They're sitting there smug in their own victory in 2021, not considering the fact that people are missing out. People are missing out. Let's look at the situation in health. What a crisis. The absolute crisis in regional health. I believe Carnarvon is going to lose its, or has already lost its maternity services. If you're in the bush and you're an expectant mother, you have to fly to Perth 6 weeks before you are due, because they are shutting down those services. They don't care about the bush. They don't care about North West Central. They don't even want to run a candidate. This is what they're going to do. They don't care. I can tell you the Liberal Party is going to be out there defending the people of Western Australia and the regional people of Western Australia. So we have the situation in Kununurra. We have the situation in Kununurra. Look at it. What a disgrace. Here we see that our Kununurra hospital, they don't even have enough staff in that hospital to keep the doors open. They're struggling to maintain services. If you go onto the Emergency Department monthly report, and I encourage members opposite who seem to think that the only time they want to get any data is when the opposition presents it to them, they should do their own research and actually have a look at the data on the Emergency Department monthly report, and we can see that there's this constant decline. If you look at the graphs on that report, which is available on the website, we see the constant decline in terms of emissions and the time frames for 4 hours, getting those away. We see this constant decline in terms of the attendance and the length of episode, which is falling away. So people are having to wait longer to get service because they simply do not have the services in those towns. Take the town of Wyndham, for example. We see the combination of both the situation of law and order, those poor nursing staff up there who are being constantly harassed because of the lawlessness that's going on in our community, and having to, and we're losing staff and having to slow down the hours. So we could just keep going on. We could keep going on about this failure to deliver into the bush. We see the failure in education. We saw the terrible situation and treatment of staff who actually had the audacity to speak up about attendance in our Halls Creek situation. What a disgrace! And we see that the reports put out by the Australian Early Development Census is showing an increase in terms of the vulnerable on one or more domains in the town of Halls Creek. There is a crisis. We're losing a whole generation of children because this government won't invest into the issue of education and culturally appropriate education in our regional areas. It won't take the necessary actions and deal with the crisis of a whole generation of young people who don't even attend school anymore because education is no longer even something that's seen as an option. And we have a Minister for Education who comes out and grabs some fake data which has been presented by the department, goes out on the public record, that gets undermined by an honest staff member, and all they do is want to put that person through the legal system. Terrible. What a disgrace. This is the nature of this government. They don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know the data. They don't want the facts, and they don't want to defend regional Western Australia because they are only about their own political gain. In fact, they're so desperate about it, they want to rig the system so that they can ensure their dominance in the system. Western Australia, regional Western Australia, has been left out in the dark, literally in Kalgoorlie, left out in the dark because they cannot reinvest into Western Power's necessary infrastructure to ensure that we have the vital power services that we need. And You know, I was in Newman the other day and we were talking about the sewer system. How many things do we have to talk about in this place? You know, groaning under the pressure. No support for those local governments to support the investment in vital infrastructure. No support whatsoever. I mean, let's think about it. Safety, crime, let's think about it. Health services, let's think about it. Basically, power. We are in a very wealthy state. Let's think about it. Sewerage. I mean, it almost is a joke when you think about it. You can't invest in the basics because you're so focused on your political gain. You're going to focus on Metro Perth, and that's all you're going to do. You're ignoring the bush, and you're leaving them out there, abandoned, and I'll tell you what, wait till the next election, you will see those people gone.